smartest one. He won't stop until he's done with his job. That was the one reason why I picked him. When they tested him, they threw the ball out, turned him around a few times, tracked the ball, what ball he has now, but he wouldn't stop. He would not stop until he got that ball.
And
We were out there.
The dog and Officer Barker, the dog has just graduated from training, so he's not seasoned dog yet, but I expect great things out of him. And with the dirt problem that we have, and also from time to time we have missing people, and that's what sold me on the dog, was the fact that he can track good, and that way we don't have to depend on someone else at their mercy, because he is a very gentle dog. But like I said, he can do some damage real fast too on command.
He's not commanded to bite on tracking, like Sheriff said, that the elderly people with dementia and things like that. I never trained him to bite at all unless I give him a command. So that was one thing I worked on, was it's more playful when he tracks. He loves it because it's play for him.
And the money did come out of the drug fund from drug money that we confiscated, things of that nature, so it's not really any tax dollars at stake. Is there any questions anybody have for the officer? Thank you.
Thank you.
You got one?
Yes.
Where are you planning on monthly training for this dog at?
It's still in works. I've been training with Jeff Wisecarver.
Yeah.
I've also been training with Dan Cliff. Actually, I'm certifying with Jeff this week. I had court today, so I had to leave early. But I've been with Jeff all week. He's going to certify me this week. I'm actually certified out of Virginia, but that doesn't really certify us here. So he's going to do that. Jeff's helping me out a lot. I need to work on me because he's smarter than I am. So sometimes it was me and him conflict sometimes, but Jeff's helping with that. He's been gracious enough to. Plus the other departments there have been helping out too. So, and he's actually surprised me. I was very surprised with today's exercises that Jeff had. Because he had, like, tracking, crossing roads, gravel dirts, and he did exactly what I thought he wouldn't do. And
You know what I know, if this is done right, it'll pay for itself.
yes, sir, it will. I'm a go-getter. I'm not lazy. I don't sit. I'm always trying to find something to make this place better.
Yeah.
I'm not, and with
I
him,
appreciate it.
just, excuse me?
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. It's just, I'm a go-getter, and that's, with him, just adds to help the county and make it better.
And one thing I'd like to add, Officer Barker is a dedicated canine dog. That's his function. It's not going to be, well, go home and get the dog. The dog is going to be with Officer Barker all the time. This is going to be a functional, everyday assignment for him. It's not going to be, well, let's go home and get the dog. It's going to be with him on his duty, tour duty. Okay? Anybody else have any questions?
Will he be able to use it at schools
Oh, yes, sir.
as well?
He's gentle. He's gentle.
And we kind of needed our jail too, don't we?
I guess that's what we're here to talk about, man. Jail.
He's actually read through the jail already. And they had already done searches, and they had found some things the day before, and we ran through, and he alerted on those things that they picked out the day before. So he didn't find anything, but he found whatever they had found the day before, which I didn't know about, neither did he. So that was one thing. It was new for him, so.
I can't tell if you've been neutered.
No, sir. He's good to go.
Have we got a vest for him?
Excuse me?
Have we got a vest for him?
There's Nancy's working on that.
Okay.
I think so. A lot of people have been gracious. People have bought him goggles and earmuffs, and they've been donating.
He's 16 months old, so we should have some good use out of the dog. He's 16 months.
Yeah, that was another thing. Like the school that I went to, also they provide a year's contract. So if anything was to happen to him, they'll take care of it. But other than that, he's ready to rock and roll. But
We're glad to have him.
thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Officer Mark.
What's his name?
Nexus.
Nick.
Yes, sir. He's born on the same day as my daughter. Come on, bub.
Very much. We're glad to have him. Welcome aboard, baby.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, meeting will officially come to order now, and do we have any visitors wishing to address the committee? And if so, I would appreciate it if you would keep your comments based on the jail study. Going once? Anybody at all? Okay, as we did last week, I'd like to go around the horn again, before we get into a, not closed door session, but the nuts and bolts of the jail study. Is there anyone at the table this evening, starting from Joe, going around this way, that would like to address the group tonight concerning the jail study? Any ideas, suggestions, or whatever? Joe?
Well, the biggest thing is, the number one focus thing is for me is to get started with the jail, regardless. And we got a lot of some issues to get started in jail, and just don't know exactly, don't have a clear light on which way to go. But my heart and everything is that, like I said, we keep this can long enough, it's time to quit kicking it, we need to start digging. And, I don't know, like I said, we just need to get into it. Don't know whether or not we're still gonna do it where we're at the present location, or we're gonna do a new location. I guess that's the first thing, we need to solve that before we start digging. And, we just need to stay with it, Taylor, and just keep going until we get that point to do it. And get everybody's opinion on it. I appreciate everybody's own opinion on everything. I think it's wonderful to do that and have time to do that. But that's where I'm at. I want to hear everybody else's ideas too.
Before we go any further, Bill, I think you've got some information that you wanted to pass on to us. Do you want to go ahead and do that now?
If you want, Mr. Chairman, or if you want to keep going around the table, just whatever you want to do.
Okay. Nick?
I'll just echo a little few things that he said. I think, first of all, we need to figure out where we want to put it. Because if not, we're just spinning our wheels trying to figure it out. So I think that would be the first thing I would.
I agree with Mr. Horner. Mr. Huntsman, I'm ready to move forward. It's time to kick the can long enough.
Are you able to speak with your throat?
No, you're good. I agree with the rest of the here. We need a piece of property to put this on first.
Go around the horn. Next.
Well, the number one comment I'd say is we just gotta figure out what we're gonna do now. When we get to the nuts and bolts of it.
I mean, the other comments too.
I agree with the other gentleman. We just gotta get this ball rolling and get it done.
Okay.
And while we do need to get it going, we need to make sure that we tread carefully and do things right and don't get pinned down by a time frame. I know it's urgent. We all know it's urgent, but we also have to make sure that we, step forward wisely, spend money wisely, and do what's gonna satisfy us for the next 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, we do need to get it going. We need to, I feel we need to relocate it to a bigger piece of property to where when we do it right, be big enough, spacious, and where you can add on to it in the future.
Yeah, we've got a couple of pieces of property we're looking at. Bill will give us some additional information on that. One is adjacent to the existing jail. The other one's out here on the bypass. And we'll be discussing that in the very next meeting with Thursday. We'll be bringing some of this back up again at the regular meeting. Wayne?
I think one thing you better look at how much you're gonna spend. That's one thing that, I don't know how much it's gonna cost. You gotta know how many beds you're gonna put in. You gotta know if you're gonna be able to go over here and use part of our old jail for the Sally Port and the kitchen and other things like that. There's a lot of big issues.
Tim?
Yeah, I think what we need to decide tonight, we have had, several pieces of property picked out, looked at and everything by certain individuals, I understand. And we need to come up with a date and time that we can get together and go out and visit these lots. And we can decide, is that where we're gonna put it? Where do we wanna go with this thing? We need to go, we need to, decide when we wanna do that. We can't wait the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, next month, or whenever. Because back then, we're just kicking that can down the road a little bit further. We need to make a decision, we need to make a decision as soon as we can, on where we wanna get together, when we wanna get together, and go out and visit these sites, and make a decision.
Bill?
Commissioner Chalmers,
Oh, I saw it though. Got it.
Not part of the committee, unless it sits with us.
Don't say anything? Okay. Mr. Mayor?
At your desks, at your seats, there should be several pieces of information that you asked for the last meeting, and we'll go over some of that, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. But you have a copy of the presentation. You have color copies of two floor plans. There are two different, one's the radial design and one's more of a rectangular design, and I'll go into those during the presentation. And then you should have a map, the calculations on the construction estimate and the staffing estimate. Over the last couple of weeks, since our last meeting, I've been talking a lot with the folks at Mosley Architects, just to make sure I'm clear on square footage requirements and some of the concepts that they had presented to us early, and then also spent a couple hours with the jail administration to talk about staffing, because staffing costs is something that you asked for me to bring to you guys. Just to bring you up to date on average daily population at the jail so far this year through October, 434, males 311, females 123, and today we had 55 state inmates. So that kind of gets you up to date on our jail population.
It was 402 when I left. It was 402 when I left.
So, what I'm going to show you tonight is just an analysis on 3 different concepts. And these are just concepts, not necessarily proposals. One is over on the property that we already own, adjacent to the Justice Center, using existing facilities and building on the property that we own would be 664 beds. When fully utilized on that campus. One thing we were able to add, now this is the option, of the 3 options for that property that I've shown before, this is the one that has the most beds. And one thing I discovered during the last couple of weeks since the last meeting is we were able to add 80 beds to that concept, because the floor plan, if you look at the floor plan with the yellow, Bobby, if you'll hold that up right there, that's the one I'm looking at, right here. Let's see, it's this one right there. And it's a three level building. The 3rd level, which is the 2nd level of housing, in their initial analysis, only included 2 of those housing, 2 of these. Okay, this is like the 1st level of housing with three pods, if that's what you want to call them. Okay, and then the 2nd level just had 2. So in this analysis, we're adding a 3rd, which would be another level stacked on top of this. Okay, so that added 80 beds, because in each one of these, it's the stacking system where you have the mezzanine. So like right here, that counts as 2 beds, or excuse me, two cells, because there's one stacked on top of it. And so there's 80, let's see, there's 40 beds here, 40 here, 40 here, 40 here, 40, 40, and so you have another. So we were able to add another one of these, which means another 80 beds. So that's how we got to the 664. And then you have, we'll talk about concept 2, which would be an expanded Allison Street campus, which would be purchasing property on the west side of Allison to expand and go to 600, 700 new beds. And so, let's see. And then the third concept is going to a new site, and the site that I'll show you that you talked a lot about is the Martin Luther King property. All right, here's concept 1, which is what you've seen this before. This is on current property that we own. This would be building 480 new beds in this block, 2 courtrooms, a large courtroom, jury courtroom, and then a smaller courtroom for sessions court, then a multi-purpose room for that would be used for grand jury, and then the clerk's office, judge's chambers, meeting rooms. Then you would have the annex, which would be, this is the first floor where the men are now. There's some upgrades that have to happen to that to bring it into certification standards. Then the second floor where the women are now, that would have to be completely gutted and renovated. Then you have the workhouse, which would need some renovation to make it where it would be certified. And then this would be an addition to the workhouse. So the total is the 664. Okay, so that's concept 1. And this is the housing unit concept. This is the one that fits here. The radial design where you have the control room in the center which overlooks all those pods. There's not enough land there to use that. Now that's what the architects are telling me. That there's not enough land to use that design. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. So this design is the one that would be used.
How would you feed these people in 3 or 4 different, I hope I didn't miss that, but how do you feed those people in so many different locations?
Well, I mean, the operation will have to be worked out. You know, as far as you're talking about in these locations here, that would have to be worked out.
That's where I think a lot of money should be spent is the logistics of this thing right here, operating it and stuff like that. And my understanding, right, is that the first concept, 116 personnel with $5,280,000?
Yeah, I'll get to that later.
Okay.
In comparing the staff.
Okay.
And then here's concept number 2. This is Allison Street right here. This is Jackson Street right here. We own this property and this, and that would mean purchasing this right here. This is a layout where we could get 600 to 700 beds on this property. It would be the radial design. It would be this design where you have, you know, the central control rooms, but there would be 2 layers. There would be 2 floors of it, and to get that many beds. And then you'd have your core area here, which is like in this little concept drawing. This would be the Sally Port here. That wouldn't necessarily this be the way it is, but this is just to kind of give you an idea. And then you have your courts here. And in this concept, you would turn the Justice Center, this building, into a juvenile justice center. And Judge Snyder would use the courtroom here, and then you'd have the Sheriff's Department here, and it's the same place, and the Sheriff's Department would use most of the downstairs area. And then you could turn the second floor of the annex into a training area for jail and for Sheriff's Department. And then you could use the workhouse turn that into reentry with some renovation. But the numbers as far as, let's see, the 600 to 700 beds is just new beds, correctional housing, no reentry. So, in that concept. Then the third concept would be moving the jail campus off or out of downtown or off of this site somewhere else out in town. This particular example is on the Jenkins property off of Martin Luther King. This is a 620-bed facility, all single floor. So this is the the Justice Center complex here, and then this would be like a sheriff's department, a future development of a sheriff's department. I asked Mosley just to see if it would fit on the property, and so they put that on there. This yellow line right here is the power lines that run through it, that you can't, 100-foot easement, that you can't build underneath.
Park under.
You park, you can't build, yeah. Okay, and then again, this is the floor plan for that option, and you could really but in conversations with you guys, 600 beds is something as a target, and that's why I've kind of gone to the 600 bed mark. And then here at this location, there's space to build more, of course, back here. So,
Bill, was that using the concept we had down, like, we looked at a copy,
yeah.
I apologize.
You've got that picture and all that. Okay, as far as building costs go, and you've got the breakdown, and how I came up with those numbers, and here's for the concept, the cost of the concepts, of these three concepts. The cost per square foot has increased over the last 2 years. We started 2 years ago looking at cost estimates, and now this is coming from Mosley and their experience in other corrections facilities. Started around $250 a square foot about a year ago, about $275, year and a half ago, $275, and now what they're seeing in their other projects is the $325 to $350 range for jail space. And then for courtroom space in the $250 to $275 per square foot range, and then an office space of $225. That's what they're seeing. So what I did in calculating these, and you can see it on the detail, that's why we passed that out, is we used the height, the 350 for the jail space, 350 a square foot. And I think in court space we use 250, and office space we use 225. Any questions about how we got there?
I think 66 million doesn't include land costs.
It does.
It does? Okay.
No, it's a guess. It's a guess.
For which one of the properties? For which one of the properties? Over here or
Well,
Martin Luther?
depends on the concept. On concept number one, there is no land cost. In concept number one. In concept number two, we used, I estimated like $1.7 million for west of Allison. And then in concept number three, I estimated $2 million.
So you're talking about taking the EMS,
That would be part of it.
so.
Or it
we're
may be
obligated to
designed
build
around
another-
it. Or it may be designed around it.
I'm just saying, if you took it, are we obligated to build him another building?
Well, you paying, that's what they would want, enough money to buy them, to build something else. There's been no negotiation.
Whichever way we did, you had a little more over toward Esco Way, and then concept number, whichever one we talked about there, sort of moved it that way. Maybe I missed something there, look at the difference.
Right here, yeah.
Yeah, why would we do that? Why would we use the land we own?
Well, I mean, this isn't in stone. This
So
is
I'm just saying, I'm just looking at the county, it takes us out of bounds of EMS, but I mean, we're gonna pay them, you know, $1.2 million, $1.5 million, whatever it is for, you know, $100,000 per property. Why don't we think about that?
Right.
I just think we should.
Well, you know,
I think we need to figure out what we do to spend the least, not the most.
I agree with that.
Not by that picture, I don't know, that might be.
Now, I didn't draw the picture though. I'm just showing you a concept.
I'm just saying that might be most, and they want, people can't understand that, they want to spend most of the can.
Well, I'll get to that later. Okay. But I'm showing data. And so, the pictures and so forth aren't an endorsement from me. You've asked me to gather some information, I'm presenting the information. So,
What are the setbacks on that, on Allison, Third North? You know, in the old plans, I looked at it, you didn't start building your building until you were over halfway through Miss Johnson's property. You was like 60, 70 feet off of Third North.
but one thing that we all need to understand is these are concepts, they're not designs. And the next phase, and it may be time that we get there, is that we enter the design phase and we engage an architect and they start looking at these, looking at setbacks and looking at those kind of things. But these are concepts. But to get into more detail, we'll have to engage a designer.
Well, is our goal to certify, get certified as a jail? Is that,
I would think so, yeah.
You know, our goal is,
they're saying this building will never certify.
that's a brand new building, it has to certify.
I'm not saying that, I'm saying the other one, if you want to use that.
You've got to, there's some changes you got to do, some renovations.
Basically, the annex, the old barn.
Yeah, the slams could probably be.
The old part's never been talked about.
So that wouldn't be, the slams area would never be used for housing under any, it would be used for storage, that kind of thing. For the armory, for the sheriff's department. And in my conversations with TCI is you would separate that section of the jail from the annex to use
It would have
for housing.
That's the, do they, lose our certification on the entire jail, or do we lose it on pieces of it?
The entire thing.
So that doesn't mean that the entire jail's out of kilter.
This is what TCI has told me, is that let's say that we build here, okay? We build here, and if we don't bring that building up to certification and we use it for housing, this will not be certified.
Okay, just listen to what you're saying there, guys. That's how damn stupid they are. You're building a brand new facility, but because of this, they won't certify that. Think about what they said just then. TCI, they got nothing to do with it, we do. They don't have a bunch of jails just in the state that ain't TCI, whatever you call it, certified, bunches of them. But I'm just saying, you know, so we'll spend 60 or 40, whatever that thing was, and it's no certification. I just think that's fair.
That was part of my question.
What's the plus or minuses of certification?
You know, if you had in my opinion, if you're wrong, if you had a brand new facility and you didn't ask for certifications, that means it's not certified. If you had the ultimate jail that cost $400 million and you don't ask for the certification, does that mean it's worthless? I don't think so, maybe that.
What if you're ever gonna house state prisoners, it has to be certified.
If you think this, you build this
To
to
get the
house
full
state,
amount.
We got over now.
Yeah, but you're not getting full amount, right?
The only thing we're not getting is medical.
But we're not billing this for state prison.
if you think we are, we're backing up, it's time to quit.
That's right, I agree.
But I will promise you, if you go put $50,000 a prisoner on that, you never change it. Easy math. And that's what we're looking at. 600 on 30, would be $50,000 a person.
We're never probably gonna get this jail certified regardless of what we do to it. If we build a new jail to absolute perfect specifications so that it would normally be certified, move all of our prisoners out into the new jail and turn that into a warehouse or a goat house or whatever, take the bars off of it, get it out of the jail status situation, our new jail should be certified automatically if we build it that way thought.
I'll bet you the difference in the new jail and that, you can get this certified. You want some of that? You say you can't, that's not true.
No, I didn't say that.
You just said we'll never get that new jail.
If we can get it, so if we
That's
get
not
the
what
new
you said, Taylor. You said, it seems to me we'll never get this jail certified. I heard what you said.
How are we gonna get this one certified?
He said we'd have to redo the 90 spaces. We're not certifying the whole jail. I mean, the sheriff's office aren't certified, they don't have to be certified. It's the housing. If we do the 90 spaces, I think we have to change the wall upstairs, is that it? Or the, whatever it was. We get certification back. We're not gonna use any of the lower sales in the original, whatever it's called, the original concept, without the annex. That, the part next to Annex 1, we're not using any of that for sales. That's never been discussed.
Any other questions about the building cost estimates or any of the concepts to this point?
I think you're taking away from the 435 and 460 and jumping on the 640, 700 there.
Okay, ask me that again, Lee.
You're taking away the 430 that we originally looked at, and now we're changing it to a 650 or 640, or between 6 and 700.
For which
Beds.
for which option?
Any of them. I think option one, you got 620, I think, on it.
We do. That's a number that I've been hearing from commissioners that was the target. That in the last projection for 2040, I think was 634, right around in there that we would need. So 600 has kind of been the target, the new target. So that's why in all three of these options, let's see, we went to the 600 range.
I'm looking at these pods, 21,000 square feet, times 2 is 42,000 square feet, and that'll hold 430 inmates. It's 80, 21, 42. If you double that, you can put 800 beds in. But there's not enough room to do it that way if you want to have courtroom and all that in it. New offices, you gotta take care of what property you got over there. If you decide where you want to go with it. If you decide you want to go over there, you're not going to be able to do everything that everybody wants, 600 or 800 beds. There's not enough space there.
Well, what I've been told the last couple of weeks is we could do 600 beds on that block, but we would go up.
Okay. I just based it on the one we looked at down there. I brought it up there for a time. 42,000 square feet, that'll hold 200 beds. 200, a little over, he thinks the 230. 430 is what he could put in there. That's why I asked about the setbacks. You know, you start on that number one there, about on Allison Street, you got back 60 foot from Third North Street, and you run out of space before you get started. And when you get over next to the Justice Center, you see it, what it is there. I mean, you got 3 or 4 parking places right down the front. If you're still gonna use, if you wanted to use Sally Port on the old one, if you want
You
to put.
can't use the side port on the old one, listen to what he said. We can't use any of the old parts at all.
Unless you renovate.
You can't use it for booking, you can't use it for cooking, you can't use it for sanitation.
Booking, that's what he
Well,
told me.
just blow it up then, if you can't use it, what you got.
Like put it in.
Blow it up, you can't use it.
Bill, what becomes of the old jail if we were to move out, say to Martin Luther King, what becomes of that old property?
Well, a thought I've got is that you would turn this into a juvenile justice system. That's where Judge Schneider would hold. You already have juvenile court services here. You have the temporary holding facility there. You've got the clerk's office for the juvenile court. So you'd have Judge Schneider, where she has her juvenile court, and then her Sessions Court Division 2. The clerk's office is already there. You would use the back courtroom as a staging area for juvenile court, because if you've ever been on a juvenile court day on Wednesdays here, this room is full when they sound the docket, and then they move everybody down the hall, and then Judge Schneider starts holding court. And each case is the participants in each case come in by themselves. And so the big area in the back would be that staging area where the sounding of the docket would be, and then Judge Schneider would hold court in the other room. Downstairs, we would use, you have, like the slams area could be used for confiscated property storage, could be used, we've looked at one cell block being used for the armory for the Sheriff's Department, which would free up office space upstairs for them. You could,
But you're moving it, so
moving,
you said on the concept, if you move it, then you'd be using that.
Not, I guess, just not right off the bat. To start, you wouldn't build a sheriff's department out there to start with.
So this is not representative of what the figures are.
It's not in numbers.
No courts, rooms, or nothing, just a jail.
No. And for the Martin Luther King,
Yeah.
no, it's in there. It's in there.
But
You
the
look at
sheriff's office not there, what about the clerk?
there is a clerk's office.
Clerk's office, but the clerk's office is just there.
There would be one here and one there.
So what else is included in
The point being, 66 million is probably, all things being the same, to put an apple to an apple would be 80 million. Or 70 million, or 75 million.
Yeah, 25,000 square feet, let's say to add a sheriff's department, would be around 6.5, 7 million.
25,000 feet's a little more than half an acre. That's more than what's over there now, 2 floors.
Well, that,
Yeah, big, isn't it? Ain't that little? Half acre? I think it's 42,000 feet per acre. Or 43,280 maybe.